Okay, so let's take a closer look at what the billionaires, the banks, and the large corporations are doing and what we call a maximum efficient contract. So, when you're talking about a $500,000 of life insurance, as an example, there is the minimum that you can pay for that, and then there's the maximum. Now, the minimum makes sense. When it comes to insurance, you don't want to pay any more than you have to, right? But why is there a maximum? Well, the insurance company sets the minimum and the maximum is set by the government. Now, why do you think the government sets a maximum on how much you can pay for life insurance? Well, back in the 80s, they came out with what we call qualified plans. Now, a qualified plan we've already talked about, but it's IRAs, 401ks, SEPs, Simples, 457s, 403bs, anything where the government is a partner in your money and they get a piece of it when you take the money out during retirement, right? So during the 80s, they also came up with this maximum amount that you can pay for life insurance that they call a MEC, or a modified endowment contract. Now, a modified endowment contract says that if you go above this line, you have to pay taxes on the money that you take out of the life insurance. And remember, the idea is that all this money is supposed to be tax-free. That's why the wealthy like it. But the problem is that the wealthy were taking advantage of this back in the 80s. They would buy these little policies and they would drop millions of dollars into these policies and all that money would be tax-free. Well, the government figured out that this was a big tax loophole and they put this maximum line on life insurance. So you could pay $500 a year for this $500,000 of life insurance, or you could pay $10,000. Now, why in the world would you pay $10,000 for something that you could get for $500? Well, that's because if you only paid $500, all you're going to get is what we call term insurance. So term life insurance is just a death benefit. It's just insurance. That's it. There's no investment or savings vehicle benefit. It is just life insurance, right? Now, if you want tax-deferred growth on your money, and if you want to be able to access all of your money tax-free, and if you want to have a competitive return like that indexed return that we've talked about, where you could get 6 to 8% returns and no stock market losses and high contributions, maybe you want to pump in over $100,000 or $1 million a year into one of these plans, then you can. Additional benefits, they actually come with things like long-term care riders and disability riders. There's other benefits that come along. Collateral opportunities. That's what we're talking about in this section. Being able to use your money as collateral and borrow at a lower rate. Or do you want it to be safe from lawsuits, creditors, bankruptcies? How about no losses? When the stock market crashes, you're guaranteed to never lose. How about guaranteed loan options? Would you like to be able to borrow against your policy without any sort of application or credit check? Or how about no loan payments, unstructured loan payments? Remember, these insurance companies will give you a loan against your policy and not require any payments. Liquidity, use, and control. That just means you have access to your money. And deductible contributions. In this case, you're not going to get a deductible contribution because you get tax-deferred growth and tax-free distributions. So that's the only one that you don't get. But all these other benefits are what we call living benefits. So if you pay $500 for that $500,000 of life insurance, then you're going to get what we call death benefits. That's what you call term insurance. Term life insurance is just a death benefit. But if you want what we call living benefits, all of these benefits that I just explained, then you want as much of those benefits as you can get, and that's what we call a maximum efficient contract. Think of it like an apartment complex. If you build an apartment complex, You don't want 30% occupancy, you want 100% occupancy. Now that doesn't mean that you have to have 100% occupancy, and this is where everyone goes wrong. See, people buy life insurance for all these benefits, but then they only pay on the low end, which means all of their money is going towards the expenses that the insurance company needs. The insurance company needs a certain amount of money to cover the insurance, right? So if you pay on the low end, all you get is the insurance with a little bit of these benefits, but most of your money is going towards the fees. Very little of your money is going towards all of these living benefits. So that's like having an apartment building that's only at 30% occupancy. Maybe 30% occupancy covers your mortgage payment and maybe your basic utilities, but it's not going to give you a lot of profit. Okay? You want what we call a maximum efficient contract. So when you set up a life insurance contract to be maximum efficient, you want to pay the maximum amount the IRS will allow you to pay. Now, you could put in $1,000 a year, $10,000 a year, $100,000 a year. You could put in $1 million a year into these life insurance plans, but this number would have to change and this number would change. So all three of these numbers go together. Now, if you want to drop $1 million into this product, then you can, but this number has to change. And generally speaking, so that you don't create a MEC, you want to spread it out over at least 5 years. So to avoid a MEC, just think of it as putting the money in over 5 years. Now, if you don't care about the tax-free distribution, then you could, put the money in one shot. A MEC just loses that tax-free distribution. So a MEC isn't necessarily bad. You just lose the tax-free access to the money. But if your plan is just to leave this to your kids, and you don't plan on accessing the money, then a MEC will still pass tax-free, income tax-free as a death benefit. So I'm not saying a MEC is bad. In fact, in the college funding world, sometimes we use MECs as a way of repositioning assets to lower what we call the EFC number or the SAI number, which helps families get more financial aid. But that's covered a little bit more in some of our other videos. The point is that when you're buying life insurance, what the billionaires, the corporations, and the banks are doing is what we call a maximum efficient contract. They're putting in the maximum amount that the IRS will allow them. And that is what you should also do. That is what keeps the fees low, okay? Insurance low, maximum cash value. And then you get all of these benefits that we're looking for. And it works great with low fees. Low fees. The fees are low. Let me explain more.